So you can go ahead and find a comfortable seat and we'll begin our practice this morning. So there are many different ways to sit in a seated posture, and it's worth exploring just for a minute so that you're really comfortable. Easiest is usually just crisscross applesauce. If you have little pillows, you can put them underneath your knees. But I also recommend lifting your hips so that your knees go down. So if you can sit up on a pillow or a block or some kind of cushion. Other comfortable postures, if your knees are flexible, you can place one foot on your lap, and usually one foot is going to be more comfortable than another. For any aspiring yogis out there that want to try your lotus pose, it's an advanced posture, but you can fold your feet up on your lap. So all of these postures are really to help you keep your spine tall, and it's very important for this initial aspect of our practice, and really throughout the postures, that we maintain a comfortable length in our spine, yet a position that's relaxed enough that we can soften our muscles and be conductive and feel that energy rising through the body. So find that position that's comfortable for you. And also in our practice, we're breathing in and out through the nose. So if your nose is a little bit stuffy today, you might have some tissues with you. To the best of your capacity, let your breath flow calmly up and into the nose to the point between your two eyebrows, and then relax the breath out gently on exhalation. So oftentimes when we're cueing, especially as yoga teachers, to breathe in, there's so much focus on the lungs. A lot of times we're cueing people to breathe into the belly. And what I'd offer for you this morning is when you inhale, feel the inhale coming right to the bridge of the nose and even up into the brain. And you'll find this is a very calming way to breathe, and it will relax your body so that you can bring in those deeper breaths. So gentle as you are, breathing up into the point between the two eyebrows, at least up into the bridge. And then relaxing, a natural exhale out of the body. Also, by breathing in this way, we're creating a stimulation or a physical response in the body up at the point between the two eyebrows. Sometimes you can feel the coolness of the breath sort of starting to touch into that warm tissue in the body. And each time we do this, we're drawing our energy back higher in the spine. So you can keep breathing this way, and we'll start with a reading from Whispers from Eternity. This Whispers reading number 43. Make me a lion of thy all-conquering wisdom. I, a lion cub of the Divine Mother, found myself thrown into life among the sheep of human frailties, of fear, failure, and disease. Living long among them, I learned to bleat with weakness, forgetting my lion nature and its roars, which could frighten away all petty pestering sorrows. O lion of realization, thou didst drag me away from those bleeding sheep to the mirror smooth waters of meditation. There didst thou cry, gaze, but I beheld my eyes tightly shut, bleeding with fear. Thy roar of wisdom then reverberated throughout my body. Thou madest me, by hard shaking and spiritual urging, open my eyes. And there, lo, in the crystal pool of my inner peace, I saw my features to be even as thine own. Now I know myself as the lion of cosmic power. I will bleat no more with fear, weakness, and suffering, for I roar now with vibrant, almighty power. I bound about through the forests of all experiences, seizing little creatures of vexing worries, timid fears, and wild hyenas of disbelief, devouring them ruthlessly. O Lion of immortality, roar through me thine all-conquering power of wisdom. Let's take a few moments to let those words soften into the body. Yogananda so eloquently outlines the spiritual path as we forsake this world of delusion and we reclaim the power and the love of our soul, the truth of our existence. If you need to adjust your seat, feel free at any time, but we'll continue with a chant this morning. And as we move through these various practices, keep the awareness rising up in the body. If you notice your posture starting to return back into a habitual form, go ahead and lift into the spine and roll the shoulders down the back body. Lift the palms and let them sit on the lap. Keep the central channel of your body open with energy rising. We'll chant the hymn to Brahma this morning, which is a traditional chant done before meditation or any chanting sadhana or spiritual practices. If you know the words, feel free to join with us. Just allow a few moments following the chant in silence with energy lifted. You're ready and it's natural. You can slowly flutter the eyes open. So good morning, everyone. I thought it would be quite appropriate that we practice close to the ground today, as it's very windy outside, and it would be nice just to have a grounding practice. So you can release your legs out, and we'll just take a few moments to rub the whole body down. If you can touch skin, all the better. If your hands are very cold and you don't want to, I understand. But just a little bit of rubbing will help to awaken the body. You can tell your legs how much you love them. Maybe they've been getting a little break lately. Go ahead. And then wiggle your toes a little bit here. If you can reach your feet, feel free to touch them. But if you can't, just wiggle toes, shake the feet side to side. Good. And it's nice to use your hands as support behind you. And then you're going to stir your feet around. So opening into the ankles. And go through each of the joints here. And then reversing the direction. You can practice with a smile on your face, enjoying as energy and vitality comes back into the feet. And then flex and point, flex, point, flex, point. Good. Let's just take a little peek of awakening here to inhale. Just lift the hips maybe an inch. Some of us go a little higher. And then you can come back and down. We'll take one knee bending. And then we'll take the other knee bending up into the body here. And let's come into a spinal twist. And we'll just slide one of our feet underneath. And you can step your other foot up and around. Just matching what you see on the screen. Send one arm reaching out and we'll go ahead and wrap around. Helping to flex into the knees and the hips. We'll turn our chest out to the side. Nice deep breathing for a few moments. Sitting tall in your spine, reaching the crown of the head. The beginning of your practice is a great time to observe your own natural tendencies. If you tend towards a more fiery personality, you might practice the qualities of patience. If you tend towards a more sleepy or tamasic quality of energy, tough to wake up and get going or get the fire started, this is a good time for you to actively draw breath into the body. And if you tend, we can come out of the pose. We're going right to the other side. Just very brief expressions of these postures before we get into our deeper holds. So again, you're just tucking one foot behind, an opposite foot can cross over. You can at least sit nice and tall as such. And then you extend your arm out nice and wide and wrap it around the front body. And your other hand can go back behind you. If you tend towards a more nervous personality, breathe calmness into the heart. All the while sitting up nice and tall, you're starting to feel the length of your spine. Most of us can feel a little bit of opening in the hip down low here. And we'll revisit this posture later with the affirmation, but for now, just breathing and starting to acclimate to the inner climate that you feel this morning in your body, the way the muscles feel, the way that the breath is flowing into the body. You can unwind as ready. Good. And then we'll go ahead and extend our legs out one more time. This time hands behind us. Go ahead and drum the knees. Great way to send blood flow into the knee joints. Drumming on the thighs as well, getting a little bit of energy. And you could be a little bit aggressive in this practice to really send some energy. So if you tend towards the sleepy side of life, go ahead and really wake up the legs. If you're the fiery personality, go a little bit easier. Good, and then a little rubbing one more time here, just to distribute good energy into the base of the body. Good. Every time you're sending the hands forward, soften your low spine here. The low spine can hold so much tension, as many of us carry subconscious anxieties about where our next paycheck is coming from, where our next meal is coming from. The low spine holds all of these worry consciousness feelings. So when you're ready, let's go ahead and start with one foot drawing in towards the body. We'll come into Janushirasana, and as best as you can, keep your toes pointed to the sky. We'll inhale and sweep the arms, reaching up and around. Good. Exhale, hands into the heart. And either if you're new to the pose, place hands behind you and just sit tall, or you can start to walk your hands forwards a little bit here. A wonderful practice for these postures is to inhale and back out a couple inches, and exhale and soothe the body forwards. So we're listening and feeling and sensing our way into the body. Where is it ready to open? And these little tiny micro articulations really help us to stay away from going over the cliff edge where we turn into reaction, and rather we're sensitively responding. And you'll find if you can relax and trust your body, that greater sense of awareness and flexibility will come. And the affirmation for this pose, left and right all around, life's harmonies are mine. Most important, try to reach the crown of the head nice and tall. You can always bend your knee if you need to, and if you feel a lot of tightness behind the knee, just give it a little bit of a rub. And again, keep telling your body, let it know it's safe. It's okay to express here. And we'll mature all the way down to lowering the head towards our leg. Bow the head down to open the backside of the neck. Left and right all around, life's harmonies are mine. Left and right all around, life's harmonies are mine. When you're ready to rise, inhale, let the head be the last part of the body to lift. And we're going to come into pulling the bow pose. Great way to wake up our hips. So you just take your first two fingers into your big toe. And again, some of us, maybe we just get to this point, and that's perfect. Others of us take your opposite hand and start reaching towards the foot. It doesn't matter if you get there. So you're going to lift your elbow high and start to lift your foot and pull your knee back. And you're reaching your other hand away. The affirmation for this pose, with shafts of will I pierce the heart of worries. With shafts of will I pierce the heart of worries. Balancing the Vata constitution and the system of Ayurveda. This is the constitution that tends when it's out of balance towards fear, worry, and sadness. In the physical body, these energies are trapped in the thighs, so feel them liberated. With the affirmation, with shafts of will, I pierce the heart of worries. It's all good. And then when you're ready, you can extend that leg out nice and long. Let's come right to the other side. So setting into Janushirasana first. And pause for a moment here and lift the inner gaze up to the point between your two eyebrows. Feeling the body rejuvenated and rebalancing. Stay here as long as you'd like. Inhale, sends arms reaching up to the sky. Keep the toes of your extended leg pointing towards the sky. Again, if you're new, pressing off of tips of the fingers and pressing belly and heart forwards really gives you a unique opportunity to stretch into the back side of your thigh. Good. Remember, if it ever gets too serious, we start really believing this drama of stretching muscles and going through massive shifts of emotion. Just smile or wink or wiggle the toes. Shake yourself out of the dream. When you're ready, if hands can come forward, feel free and use that little system of micro movements. As you inhale, you back out, and exhale, it's just an inch in either direction. A combination of relaxation, supportive breath, and observation, listening to the sensation and knowing what's enough and knowing where we have room to expand our consciousness. The affirmation, left, right, all around, life's harmonies are mine. It's helpful in the beginning of the practice to repeat these affirmations out loud, especially if the mind is particularly distracted today. Left, right, all around, life's harmonies are mine. Nice deep breathing. This side may offer a different experience depending on the dominant aspects of your personality. Left, right, all around, life's harmonies are mine. Let's take a respite in the pose. So just bow the head down wherever you are and let the back round. All the while remaining active, engaged, especially in your extended leg. Keep awareness reaching out to the heel and the sole of the foot. When you're ready, you slowly lift. Head is the last part of the body to rise. We might take a moment here to send hands behind and press the heart out. Anytime you're bending into the back, into the spine like this, you are opening the channel for energy to rise again to the brain. Good. And then as you're ready, you can look down towards your big toe. You take first two fingers and wrap around the big toe and press your thumb into the big toenail. Creates a nice little energetic lock. Now as you're ready to, you lift the elbow and reach the opposite arm in front of the body. Then you might begin to pull that foot a little higher. Some of us just get an inch down. Others of us may not leave the ground. Others of us may really pull that bow back. If anyone can reach your opposite toe, it's a great place to lock your fingers around. Certainly not accessible to all. Good. Just like when you're using a bow, keep your elbow lifted here, not down, but lifted out nice and tall. With shafts of will, I pierce the heart of worries. With shafts of will, I pierce the heart of worries. With shafts of will, I pierce the heart of worries. And you can release gently down as you're ready to. And just let that knee come down, and we'll sit tall in our spine. Hands can be your support if need be. Otherwise, just sit calmly and feel that energy, the willpower piercing through this mental fog, the mental chloroform of worry. Gently, when you're ready to, you can draw the feet together and we'll come into our Baddha Konasana pose. Feet Bound together here, soles of feet touching. Don't worry if your knees are up higher here. This can be a very challenging pose for some of our hips. If you need to extend your feet out a little further than you're used to, feel free. Otherwise, you can keep them close towards the body. If you'd like, you can massage your feet, but we'll stay a few moments in the active posture here. Try your best to roll the pelvis forwards. So tilt the pelvis and lift through the solar plexus. Not through force, but through gentle relaxation. I like to hold on to the front side of my shins, and just a tiny bit of pressure will keep your heart lifted. Crown of the head towards the sky. The affirmation in the active phase, secure in myself, I accept whatever is. Secure in myself, I accept whatever is. Keep tall in your spine, secure in myself, I accept whatever is. When you're ready to fold forward in your posture, you just gently bow the head and round the back. You can walk hands forwards if you like to. If anyone can come down on the forearms, feel free. And if your body can go further, go as far as you'd like in the pose. And feel the consciousness that starts to awaken when we repeat the affirmation, secure in myself, I accept whatever is. Secure in myself, that is a capital S. I accept whatever is. Secure in myself, I accept whatever is. Gentle as you are, when you're ready to rise, come back into the active phase for a moment. Your breath is the alchemist in the practice. Let it transform any sensations. If there's restlessness in the heart, wanting to move into some other place in your practice, soothe that restlessness with calm, deep breathing. Affirming inwardly, secure in myself, I accept whatever is. Looking inward, then upward. Secure in myself, I accept whatever is. So you can stay in these neutral practices for as long as you'd like. When you're ready to exit, we're going to send our feet as wide as we can here on our mat. So for any of these postures, sitting on a little blanket can be really helpful. And you sit right on the edge of the blanket. And what it does is it creates a shelf for your pelvic bowl here to tilt forwards a little bit further. And you send your legs as far as they're ready to. This can be another challenging pose. And we're just going to draw the babyest little circles. Use your hands. Some of us, our hands need to be behind to even be in the pose. And start with like a 1-inch circle. And then start spiraling out a little bit wider. And a little bit wider. And then rest at that point where you feel the sensation, but it doesn't steal you away into the physical body. If you need to rub the inner thighs, feel free here. And you can speak to your body in these postures. Tell your body it's okay. We're not in danger. We can relax. This is a safe position to be in. I will not ask of you any more than you're ready to give. I don't know about you, but I find a real-time response when the body knows that it's safe. Think of it like a child who's being pressured to perform on the big stage. They just want to know that you're there to support them. So your toes are going to face up all the while in this pose. And in the active phase, you can press, I like tips of the fingers. This strengthens your fingers and your hands. And just sort of roll the shoulders behind and lift the chest nice and tall and sit up in this pose. Furthermore, at the base of the spine, there is a little lock called Mula Bandh. And it's the feeling of lifting in your pelvic floor. It's a vertical, energetic lock in the body. And when you really have that point engaged, there's a feeling of integration of the legs into the body, and there's also an upward rising energy through the spine. And when you've had your experience and you're ready to take a rest, you walk the hands wherever they can go and just round the back and bow the heart and chest towards the ground. Some of us want to experiment with how open we can keep our chest as we bow forward. Just be mindful of what your body's ready for, especially on inner thighs. Good. And the affirmation: I welcome every opportunity for further growth. I welcome every opportunity for further growth. Staying present with the breath, long, deep, supportive breath. Keep the toes pointed towards the sky. We're going to inhale and come back into the active phase to lengthen the spine, send the hands behind you and lift your heart, reclining a bit. Chin stays tucked and you're lifting through crown of the head. I welcome each new opportunity for further growth. All right, to the best of your capacity, inhale and sweep the arms up. We're going to turn our chest to the right. So turn the whole shape of your body, and we're going to lay towards our right extended leg. So you may need hands for a little support here, and you're just going to sort of start to lay the heart. It's a deep opening in the body. You're really going to have to support the ligaments that are holding you strong together, and let them know that it's okay in this posture, in this moment, to relax into deep peace. When you're ready, you can come out of that version of the posture. Arms go all the way back up, and you rotate from the hips and then bow over to the other side. You might even take one hand if necessary and push into this little hip flexor, and it'll give you some more room to bow over forward. This is a sort of deep stretching practice. You can also massage your thigh while you're here, remembering that worries, fears, and anxieties in the physical body get trapped in our thighs. So just by massaging those a little bit, you can really begin to shift that energy out of the body. If anyone can grab onto their toe, feel free to really bow forwards here. We're going to go to each side one more time. So inhaling, you sweep the arms up and turn the chest. And then exhale and come over. If you can reach the toes, feel free to hold on. Nice deep breathing. Make sure you get this thigh too if you did the little massaging on the other side. The heel of your hand is a great massage tool. You just sort of press the muscles like you're squeezing the last bit of toothpaste out of the tube. Nice deep breathing. When you're ready, you can come to other side. Inhale up through the center, and you turn your heart. So actively turn first, and then go ahead as much as you can. And you might want to keep turning over to the left here so that you can really lay your lap over this leg. Nice deep breathing here. Good. Wiggle the toes if you feel the legs starting to kind of vibrate, or you feel any zinging, any nervous system expressions. And then you can gently come up through center. So let's just start by lifting underneath the knees, and you can recline a little bit and then go ahead and draw your feet back into a neutral position. So we're going to swing the feet around and come over onto our knees. For anybody that is challenged by sitting over their ankles, take a little blanket or a pillow and put it right in between the knees and sit on top of that. Or you can sit on top of a pillow underneath the ankles. So just try to make the position comfortable. We're going to be here for just a bit. We'll start in Vajrasana, or our lightning bolt pose, palms facing up on the lap, and sit here with nice steady gaze, looking up to the point between your two eyebrows. Let the heart bloom open in this pose. Steady breathing. We'll come further into the legs now. You can open the eyes if you had them closed. So some of us, we may need to have a little bit of a lift behind us here. Try to the best of your capacity to set your hands behind you. Now if you can lift your hips even just an inch or so, try to go as high as the body will allow, and you're stretching through the front side of the thigh muscle, the quadriceps. And you can look up to the sky as the highest expression on the neck in this pose, and just breathe here. You'll have to really squeeze your glutes and your thighs to keep you lifted. Strong, steady breath. Let's see if I can find the affirmation for you guys. If you know it, feel free. Well, maybe another time. Just keep breathing. Ooh, let's use this. With a burst of energy, I rise to greet the world. This is a nice alternative. And you can really get quite high in this pose if you keep lifting through your hips and squeezing your glutes. With a burst of energy, I rise to greet the world. One more time. With a burst of energy, I rise to greet the world. You can lower down as you're ready to. If you are uncomfortable in this seated posture of Vajrasana, you can sit cross-legged. Otherwise, turn your palms up on the lap and lift that energy right to the spiritual eye. With a burst of energy, I rise to greet the world. Watching closely all these energies being stirred and released. Give them a direction to release to. Think of your spine like a great river returning to the ocean of infinite consciousness at the point between your two eyebrows. Pouring all experiences, whether bliss, emotional discomfort, joy, worries or fears, everything being offered back to the ocean. All right, beautiful job, everyone. We're going to rise up onto our knees here and come into our gate pose. So we'll start on left side, and if you need to, come down onto hands and knees and extend that foot out, and then you can rise back up. Otherwise, you can just extend it out as you're ready to. Good, let's inhale and sweep the arms up into the sky. Exhale, hands into the heart. Just a point of attention here. Look down towards your foot and make sure your toes are facing the direction that your hips are pointing. Let's inhale, send arms up into the sky. And we'll leave our right arm and slide left hand right down to either the outside of our thigh. Just skip the knee if you're going to go down any further and create a great upward lift. Waves of joy surge upward in my spine. What a beautiful affirmation. Waves of joy surge upward in my spine. I'll be honest, it wasn't until I found these Ananda Yoga postures and the Ananda Yoga path that I really thought about joy. I'd always thought about happiness, but never joy. Joy is a transcendental state of awareness, the quality of our soul. not bound by circumstance, but freely given. Waves of joy surge upward in my spine. Like a bubbling well from deep, deep within the heart, let those pulsations of joy surge upward in the spine. And when you're ready to release, come back to a neutral spine. That means standing strong and tall. And let's just take our mountain pose hands. Gentle pressure in between the palms will help you to relax your shoulders down and lift your head higher. And let's repeat that affirmation with eyes closed, upward gaze. Waves of joy surge upward in my spine. Waves of joy surge upward in my spine. You could go ahead and descend, hands spreading out nice and wide if you'd like to. And we're coming all the way down, bowing back down and onto the knees. And we'll come into Vajrasana again, or lightning bolt pose. So if you have a pillow, set it underneath that space of the knees. If you need cushion under your ankles, set a little blanket or pillow under there. And just turn the palms to face up. Waves of joy surge upward in my spine. Waves of joy surge upward in my spine. In your own timing, if you need to open the eyes, feel free. We're going to send our hands onto the ground and come into our gate pose on the other side. So extending your leg nice and long and rising up over this knee. Send the arms reaching into the sky. Good. Exhale, hands down to the heart. Just take a peek over towards your foot and make sure those toes are pointing same direction as your hips. So the edge of your foot is towards the side. And then go ahead and raise the arms up. Good. And you start to lean over here. Keep spine long. Drop the bottom hand down, at least to the thigh. Some of us skip the knee and we go right into the calf. More than we're trying to lay the body down in this deep fold is that we're reaching up. Remember the affirmation, waves of joy surge upward in my spine. You may notice that one side is a little different than the other. So we're reaching through the feminine side of the body, the left side. And you may feel that expressed. Sometimes we may be more contracted in our feminine qualities or in our masculine qualities. I find that the masculine side of my body tends to be a little tighter. It's good to notice these so that we can bring balance and equanimity to our bodies, our minds, and our spirit. Waves of joy surge upward in my spine. Ideally, this affirmation carries you into smiling and feeling those waves of joy surging. In truth, they always are. But often our heart and our mind become so restless that we can no longer perceive that joy. When you're ready to lift out of the pose, come up first, both arms reaching above the head, align the spine, and then exhale, hands can come down to the heart center. You just place the hands onto the ground, hips bow backwards, bending the knee. We'll step that foot and the knee down to the ground and come right into your supportive or your rather neutral posture. Spine remaining long. What's awakening within your body in these moments? going to rise into our camel pose. So in any of these postures, if you know the advanced practice and you like it and your body accepts it, feel free to come at any time. So I'll show the advanced for those ready to get into it. You just hold onto your heels and lift your hips. I do not condone the often taught way of lowering down one hand at a time from the upward raise position. It puts your spine in an awkward position. For the rest of us, arms reach up into the sky. Exhale, palms face down, heels of the hands sit on the top side of your hips. A gentle release of your hips forward. There's a slight tuck of the pelvis here, not a dramatic, just slight. And very important is that the solar plexus, there's great solar energy in this camel pose, is free to lift up higher. And this will encourage the heart to begin to open a little bit wider. The affirmation: with calm faith, I open to thy light. Anybody used to spilling the head backwards in camel pose, try to resist that temptation. Keep the chin tucked towards the chest and the back of the neck long. The furthest that we might look is towards the sky. With calm faith, I open to thy light. With calm faith, I open to thy light. If you can stay maybe 3 or 5 more breaths, settle into the pose. For those of us that our bodies are new to these postures, just go ahead and release out of the pose. Come back into your neutral position if you can, and just rest the palms facing up on the lap. All the energy rising to the point between the 2 eyebrows. We'll take several moments here, and when you feel ready to, or your body is asking for you to, you can go ahead and just lower the body into child's pose. Child's pose, arms are reaching out, forehead is resting down onto the ground. And the breath is expanding into the low spine. It's one of the great treasures of this pose. Our sense of security, of feeling taken care of in this world, of feeling that we have enough, that we're abundant, that we can trust the world around us. These are all the energies that are stimulated by breathing into the spine, in the low spine. People that have money worries often get sore kidneys, or any worries. Their low back is aching. So just breathe some vitality back into that space. We'll repeat the affirmation for child's pose. I relax from outer involvement into my inner haven of peace. I relax from outer involvement into my inner haven of peace. And even breathing into the low regions of the belly, especially if knees are close together in this pose, let the front of your body inhale and fill against the thighs. So your whole torso, the sides, the back, and the front, even the bottom, all the way to the crown of the head is expanding on inhale and gently pulsing, slight contraction on exhale. When you're ready to rise, it's slow and gradual. You slide the hands or step them back towards the knees. Head is the last part of the body to rise, and we flip the palms and come right back into Vajrasana. If this pose is uncomfortable, find your pillow or just sit cross-legged. And look right to the point between the two eyebrows. Anything that's awakened, let it rise. Anything other than our blissful nature, offer it up. So we're going to come back into our camel pose because it's so wonderful after you come through these forward folds. Let's rise back onto the knees. Again, if you come into the advanced version, toes tuck underneath and you press off of your heels and lift your hips. Now, anyone else coming into the gentle version, arms up into the sky. But exhale, turn the palms to face down. Heel of your hand sets on the top ridge of your hips and your fingers pointing down. Your pinkies can touch if that's available. And so remember, there's just a slight release of the hips forward, enough until the belly catches. The belly will catch you and lift up through your solar plexus, and you recline your heart open wide here. Never feel that you have to stretch in yoga. All we're doing is relaxing and breathing and waiting, trusting and loving. With calm faith, I open to thy light. With calm faith, I open to thy light. If you want to release your head back, just look to the ceiling. Chin stays tucked. With calm faith, I open to thy light. With calm faith, I open to thy light. The same light that revealed to the little lion that he was not a sheep, but that he, in truth, was a roaring lion, is the same light that we are opening up that reveals our higher nature to us. When you're ready to exit the pose, we're going to come right into hare pose. Keep your toes tucked underneath. And go ahead and bow the head towards the ground. Hold onto your heels. Gently rest your head. No weight bearing, but just a gentle rest. And then arch your spine. So round it like a cat pose. Lift your hips away from your heels. And you're actively pulling on the heels here to help to lift the belly up into the spine. So you're in this beautiful U shape in the body. The affirmation, I am master of my energy. I am master of my body. I am master of my energy. I am master of my body. Keep breathing. Let that breath clear away any blockages in the spine, like little dams, forcing the river of your pure, unlimited consciousness into tiny, finite expressions. Let those dams break free. I am master of my energy. I am master of my body. You can shift the inner gaze to the point between the two eyebrows and remain here for maybe 3 or 5 more breaths. Feel free. Anybody feeling the need to release out of the pose, you can come into child's pose for the very gentle expression, or you can come into Vajrasana, our hero's pose, seated over the ankles with palms facing up. I am master of my energy. I am master of my body. I am master of my energy, master of my body. Send that energy back up to the brain at the point between your two eyebrows. Stay as long as you'd like in any of these postures, especially if you're just arriving in your neutral asana. Feel free to stay. The rest of us, we're going to come in to a downward facing dog. So set your palms down onto the earth, fingers nice and broad. You're gripping the earth strong here. Hands and knees. You're going to tuck your toes underneath, and this is usually a good measure of sending your hips back and looking to your lap. Now remember, each of these postures, it's like walking into a different room in your home. They each have their own personality, their own energy. So let there be a clear distinction from one pose to another, not like a blending practice of vinyasa, but you really want to get to know these postures. Your heels are heavy. They're sort of like medicine. If we take the wrong dosage, it doesn't really help us. And you want to learn which postures really serve your own spiritual awakening and which others are really not as important for you to practice. In downward facing dog, we're pressing out of the tips of the fingers, top side of the palm, and the thumb. Your heels are as heavy as they can be, and your hips are effervescent, light as a feather towards the sky, and you look towards your lap the whole time. Calmness radiates from every fiber of my being is the affirmation. If you need to take a rest, come down into child's pose, but otherwise we're going to stay here for a little bit. I can understand some of us, our wrists grow tired in the pose, or our arms are not yet strong enough to hold the position. Keep repeating the affirmation. Calmness radiates from every fiber of my being. Calmness radiates from every fiber of my being. Breathing nice deep breaths, staying in the pose if you can. Let's try another 3 or maybe 5 breaths here. For any experienced practitioners, empty all the breath out and hold the breath retained empty and pull the navel up into the spine. This is a powerful practice of Uddiyana Bandh, or the navel lock, where we draw the energy out of the lower centers up towards the brain. Again, this is done with breath held all the way out, navel pulled in and up, like you're sucking the belly like a little vacuum right into the body. Push the belly out and then find your inhale. When you're ready, take a nice long rest. Some of us will be child's pose, others of us Vajrasana. Lift the inner gaze to the point of the spiritual eye. Forgive me for so much repetition, but we really want to train ourselves after every asana, and even during the asana, to look from the point between our brows. If you need to come down into child's pose, just take a respite. We'll rest for another minute or so here. And in the resting phase of our practice, it's more accurately described as the relaxation and feeling part of our practice. Sometimes when we think resting, we're thinking going to sleep. But we want to be aware of what's awakening, what's happening in your interior experience. You feel that you've grounded and anchored back in to a deeper sense of calmness and peace within yourself. Then we can begin to slowly rise out of the position back onto hands and knees. So we're going to come into pigeon pose. I've been teaching a version lately that's great for anybody who's very new to the pose. You just step one of your legs about halfway back, and you draw the knee a little bit further up. And for some of us, this may be where our body limits us to. If you can swing your foot around the front knee, this is another nice place to be, and you might just bow your chest and belly down and stay here. For anybody that can come into the full version, it's easiest to enter through downward facing dog. So you just press your hips up and draw whichever knee you'd like, right up to the front, swinging the ankle out to the side and then descending down on towards the ground. Your toes stay tucked on the front foot, or rolled rather, up towards the knee. This keeps your knee from twisting. Your back toes can be extended as long as it feels safe on your knee, palms into the earth. And we'll stay active in our pose for several breaths. Let's do so first by bowing the chest and rolling the shoulders down and then lifting the heart up. Again, solar plexus energy is so important in our practice. Feel that inner fire rising up into the heart and being refined as the warm air of devotion. The affirmation, I rise above all thought of past and future into the eternal now. I rise above all thought of past and future into the eternal now. One of the more mystical affirmations, yet so practical. I rise above all thought of past and future into the eternal now. Some of us enjoy the resting aspect of this pose where we start to just lower our head down towards the ground. So feel free to come down into forearms if you'd like, if it's available. I also offer you can stack your fists for your head to have a little place to rest. Just keep reaching through that back leg. Think length through your spine. Nice strong length. Now you're most welcome to stay here and keep resting, but we're going to come out of this phase and come back into the active phase just for a moment and see what has been awakened in your body. I rise above all thought of past and future into the eternal now. Look to the point between the eyebrows for at least one breath. When you're ready to leave the pose, bow the heart forwards and you activate the back knee. So if you watch my leg, you can see that it lifts and then you lift your hips. And then you press into the hands and you can walk yourself out of the pose. Downward facing dog is a great balancing pose after our pigeon. So just press the hips back and sit steady in your down dog with deep breath. When you're ready, you come to the other side. So if you're dropping your knees down and taking the easy route into the pose, feel free to just go to the opposite side and you step one of your knees forward and maybe cross the foot. And then maybe you slide back a little bit. For the rest of us, we come into pigeon as was demonstrated earlier through down dog. Keep the toes flexing towards your knee. Show you from the front. So it's not necessary to fan your foot out. You can keep it underneath the body if you'd like. You just find what's most comfortable. And those toes, very important, flex them towards your knee. Good. And get your back legs situated. Make sure you're reaching through the big toe line. So see if you can just get a sense of that. Use the spotlight of your awareness to look into that big toe. Become aware of it and reach through the inside of the leg down. Good, and then we bow the heart forwards. And your elbows, you notice they're not like a push-up. They're right by the sides of the body. And bow the head enough that you can lift through the back side of your neck and then peel up into the posture. And you'll find that you should have more freedom. Even a gentle tug on heels of the hands will keep the heart reaching forwards. Good, and close the eyes and look to the point between your two eyebrows. The affirmation, I rise above all thoughts of past and future into the eternal now. I rise above all thoughts of past and future into the eternal now. The interesting part about living in the present moment is that it's only when we're back here that we realize that we have left. When we're out on our little trip of living in the past, living in the future, we're blind to the fact that we have evacuated from this moment. But when you come back to it, it's blatantly obvious, self-evident. So whenever you're ready, you can bow down if you'd like into your resting version of the pose. Some of us can get to forearms, and that's wonderful if your body allows that. Others of us just drop the head. We won't spend too much time here, maybe 3 breaths or so, so really make your time here count. It's on your next inhalation that you begin to lift back up, and we'll rise right into the fullness of our pigeon pose. Shoulders relaxed, elbows close by the ribs, big toe pointing behind the body. The affirmation, I rise above all thought of past and future into the eternal now. When you're ready to exit the pose, very gentle as you are, bow the heart forward and tuck your back toes underneath. With a little lift of the knee, then you can lift your hips and press into the arms, and then you can slide your foot back. Take a downward facing dog if your body will allow this morning.
Try to relax your arms in down dog. They don't need quite as much stress as we often put them through. Good. It's our last time in down dog, so stay here for a little bit. Maybe 3, maybe 4 or 5 breaths. Spending time. It's like visiting an old friend. Or maybe a new friend. When you're ready to release out of the pose, we're going to take our respite on our back. So you can come all the way down. We have one final pose to do together. And we'll extend our legs nice and long and lay down onto the back. Just take a few moments here to rest. To feel the body sinking into the earth. So our next posture is fish pose. Easiest way to do this posture, start by turning your palms down to the ground. Slightly bend the elbows, so not a lot, just a little bit, a hair. And you'll have to find what works perfect for you. Some of us sitting onto the edge of our hands, like the inside of the thumb line, is helpful for this pose. Others of us, our limbs are too long. It really just matters how long your arms are. So when you're ready to, you're going to lift your heart and you're going to sort of drag your head along the ground until your spine is arched, your arms are supportive. You should have weight in your elbows. There should be no pain in the neck or feeling like you're going to fall out of the pose. So balance the weight between your head and your elbows. Please do not look left or right. You can look up above you and even behind you is a wonderful way to enjoy the pose. Furthermore, some of us enjoy pointing the toes. Now, if you're very experienced in the pose, you've practiced it for years, would be the prerequisite. Some of us, maybe joining today, would like to free the hands into the heart in Anjali Mudra. So you just have to really be measured about what your body actually needs. So oftentimes doing less is more helpful in the practice. Stay here as long as you'd like, as long as it feels that it's nourishing your body. This is a powerful awakening pose. Keep breathing, nice deep breath. I'm going to see if I can find the affirmation for you guys. My soul floats on waves of cosmic light. To come out of the pose, just roll your head out of the way and slowly lower down onto the back. Again, you can stay in the pose or even come back if you really enjoy it. Palms facing up in the resting version. And we'll come into an inversion for our final exploration. Step your feet down to the ground, palms facing down. Easiest inversion in the body is the bridge pose. You lift your hips and you just pause in the pose. If you'd like to come a little bit deeper into your practice, take knees towards the chest and then roll the feet back over the head and hold onto your calves and rest on your upper back. This is tranquility pose. Furthermore, you can roll into plow if you'd like, using your elbows on the ground, hands at the hips. So at this point, please don't look left or right, meaning towards the screen to see if you're doing it exactly right. And anyone that would like to come into a supported shoulder stand, you hold on your hips and just lift your feet into the sky. So come down out of the pose. If you'd like to see how to come up into it, I'll demonstrate, but just don't try it while you're in the pose looking at the camera. So to come up into the pose, we plug elbows into the ground, lift hips up into the hands, and then start to center the feet up above the hips. And then look up and down with your nose. Make sure you have a little space, a little playroom at the backside of your neck. And you want the neutral position. So just be smart about the pose, be safe, stay in the pose for a little bit if you can. Nice long, steady breath. Deep, deep breathing. And we're going to use the affirmation for shoulder stand because we don't often get to in our class, and it's a beautiful one. The affirmation, God's peace now floods my being. God's peace now floods my being. Whatever version of the divine you hold as beloved, it can even be the highest potential that you have in your own personal evolution. It could be unconditional love. And feel that divine presence flooding your being. God's peace now floods my being. Now when you're ready, if you're in the supported shoulder stand, bend your knees and slowly release them towards the chest. Let the hips go, and we come right into our Shavasana. So all paths lead into Shavasana. Legs are long, palms are upward turned. Go ahead and grab a blanket and pull a blanket over the body. Very helpful to keep your energy contained. You can close the eyes down. Let's take maybe 2 or 3 breaths, inhaling through soles of the feet like a wave. A flood of God's peace flowing up through the body right to the crown of the head. And then repeating a couple of times, just bathing the whole body in waves of peace. Our final affirmation, and then we'll rest in silence together. Bones, muscles, movement, I surrender now. Anxiety, elation, and depression, churning thoughts, all these I give into the hands of peace. Let yourself expand out so that your being fills the room, fills the building, the town, the city, the country, the whole world, into space, all through the cosmos, the vastness of your being expanding. We'll take this time just to rest in silence, in the bliss of our own being.
gently begin to bring the body back into your awareness. Feeling the nature of your being as expansive, blissful consciousness, Satchitananda, ever conscious, ever existing, ever new bliss. The body is sustained by this conscious bliss. So as you re-enter the body, feel the muscles, the bones, and nervous system in celebration of this returning prana. Feel the soul has been liberated from the confines of the personality and the mind. Not that they don't exist, but they become servant to the deeper aspects of who we are. As is natural, the breath can begin to deepen, little muscle movements can happen, extending from your inner well of infinite energy and power and bliss. Arms can reach overhead as is natural, along the earth, that is. Just squirm a little bit in the body, bringing some wakeful energy to the physical body, and you can gently begin to roll over to your side, and we'll rise right into our seat, taking our transition in your seated posture. And take your time, don't feel rushed by any impetus to rise too quickly. You do reach your comfortable seat. The palms stay upward faced, resting on the lap. If they start by the knees, gently retract them back up the thighs so that the elbows pull behind the body. Close the eyes and center all the awareness at the spiritual eye with long, steady depth of breath. And it's this time after we finish our asanas or our postures that we have prepared ourselves for the ideal environment to practice meditation. That is to be in inner communion with the soul and the divine. This class goes right into a meditation. It's about 20-25 minutes with a little bit of guidance to get us into the perfect space. For those of us that are ready to bow out into our days, let's take our hands into our heart and we'll send, and all of us can do this, send joyful blessings out into the world. Feel that your body is a channel and that this consciousness flows through the physical body, but is not created by it. You can rub the palms together. And we'll extend the palms out nice and wide. Notice if you feel any sensation awaken in the palms. Relax the entire body so that you are conductive of this cosmic current. We'll take a deep inhalation through the nose. Open mouth, exhale from the heart. We'll Om 3 times together. Inhaling to begin. Let the palms stay outward turned. When it's natural, join them back together in front of the heart. If you're meditating with us, stay in your inward state with eyes closed. For the rest of us, we bow our heads to our hands. We bow to that place within us that is divine, that is ever conscious, ever existing, ever new bliss. And we recognize that is the essence of every soul on this beautiful planet and throughout the cosmos. No matter how they act outwardly, we see their divine nature. We honor that place in saying namaste, namaste. So thank you to those who joined. If you're going to stay with us, feel free. If you are leaving and you'd like to say a little hello, I just ask maybe do it in the chat, or a little wave is sufficient. Thank you so much for being here. We'll dive right into our meditation practice together. So welcome to those of you who are joining. Go ahead and find your comfortable seat. We'll sit with upward turned palms on the lap. You might have a blanket wrapped around your body if you so choose. We'll start with a chant to help us all settle in. This chant is called At Thy Feet. Chant by Paramhansa Yogananda. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song, listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song, listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song, listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song, listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song, listen to my soul song, listen to my heart a few moments in the silence that follows the chant to lift your energy to the point between your two eyebrows. Hearing the words, listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather flowers, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet. As a child of the infinite, we all have the birthright to demand on our Heavenly Father, our Divine Mother, to be with us, to make us to feel her presence. So as a child of the Divine, open your heart and demand with patience for the response of the soul, the response of the Divine. Know that every prayer is heard and that all are answered in divine timing, and will sit in that patience, in that peace of mind, with the inner gaze resting like the cosmic telescope. You're peering into the vast cosmos from the spiritual eye with relaxed nature throughout the whole body. The key for us to hear a response, to feel the presence of the Divine, is to most importantly relax, feel, and listen. Your spine remaining long is of paramount importance in this practice. If you need to sit against a wall or even sit on the edge of a chair, if this is the difference between you being comfortable or distracted by sensation, take care of your body. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song, speak to the Divine. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee, dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee, dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. If the mind is not able to stay steadfastly fixed on the divine within, as you inhale, mentally hear the sound hum, and as you exhale, mentally hear the sound saw. By repeating this affirmation, it will calm the mind and heart and deliver you into a place of inner communion. Anytime a thought steals your attention away, remind yourself that for these next 15 minutes, you have decided to stay still and calm, that you are here to meditate. still practicing any affirmation, or if you find that your mind has begun to drift, for these last 5 minutes of the practice, be wholeheartedly present. In the silence of your own soul, Let's join our hands together in prayer in front of the heart's altar. We'll close with a healing prayer that Paramhansa Yogananda has taught. Divine Mother, thou art omnipresent in all thy children. Thou art in all the blessed souls of this world. Manifest thy healing presence in their bodies, in their minds, in their souls. Rub the palms together with some vigor. Take a deep breath, exhale the breath out. Let's extend the palms out, and we'll sound 3 rounds of Om together, spreading blessings of light into this world. See all souls uplifted by these prayers, not coming from your body, but flowing through you from a divine source. Deep breath to begin. Om. Om. Join the hands together in prayer, gentle bow of our heads towards our hands in prayer. We honor and we bow to that place within us that is divine, our highest nature, our highest potential for this lifetime. We bow to that divinity within all souls. No matter how they appear to us outwardly, know that every soul, even those that hurt you, are divine in their nature. We'll pray for all souls to awaken to that nature by saying Namaste, Namaste. Thank you all so much for joining in this sadhana or spiritual practice. I hope you have a beautiful and blessed day. Take this energy out into the world in whatever capacity that is for you today. And as you move through the day, hold on to this consciousness. When you're doing your daily activities, whether it be washing dishes, whether it be working, interacting with your children, family members, use this day today to really embody the energy that you've spent so much time cultivating this morning. So have a beautiful, blessed day, everyone. Take care.